Hey there. Wanted to do a really quick video regarding interviewing and specifically to help people who are at the middle and executive level. This will help people who are not at that level as of yet, but plan on being there someday. Um, my name is Shannon M. I am a human resources consultant currently. I've been a HR executive for years and years, and I have interviewed hundreds of people throughout my career. I've worked for various industries, including Fortune 500, nonprofit, international organizations, um, engineering, healthcare, just various industries and organizations throughout the last couple of decades. And I continue to see people at the professional level continue to make a certain mistake that I just wanted to talk about a little bit, tell you about um, how it affects you when you interview and you actually make this mistake. So, most recently, I was interviewing for one of my clients, and one of the people who interviewed, I asked them what I would typically ask someone: what are your salary requirements? And this woman in particular indicated that her salary requirements were a certain amount, and then continued to go into specifics as to why they needed to be that, because of, she had personal, and I had to stop her. I said, wait. I said, don't do that. She said, what? I said, you do not owe me an explanation, or anyone, quite frankly, why your salary requirements are what they are. I said, if you know your value as a professional and they are in line with what industry standards are, I said, you don't owe an explanation as to why you require a certain salary. Um, and she just looked at me. She said, oh my goodness. She said, you know what? I should know this. This was a seasoned professional. She had been working for, I don't know, 15, 20 years. She was not a novice. She had herself interviewed multiple people just throughout her career. And when I shared that with her, she was just stunned at first. And then she thanked me. And she said, I don't know why I do that. I said, well, one of the reasons I said that I see this frequently, or more frequently, I should say, from women as opposed to men. I said, but the other thing is that a lot of times when people do that, they don't know how much it affects them in the negotiating arena, because what happens is that when you hem and haw about what your salary requirements are, what you're essentially doing is showing the interviewer or the hiring manager that you're really not worth what you're saying that you're worth, which obviously is going to affect you when you need to negotiate your salary at some point if you are offered the position. And so you don't want to give that impression for obvious reasons. You want to be firm on what your value is. And again, your value should be inclusive of that industry. It should be inclusive of your expertise, your experience, your education. All of those pertain to it. Now, if you happen to have specialized experience, or you happen to have exposure to certain things that would take you outside of what the anticipated salary for that field would be, then by all means, that's something that you can discuss when you get the offer. When you get the offer, you can present all of those things during your interview, but being kind of jumping the gun a little too quickly to say why you're worth something, it's almost like you're trying to convince not just the person, but yourself. And people can pick up on that, if you're trying too hard to convince them of what you're worth. Um, People who know their value understand that when they present what their salary requirements are, and the person who's interviewing them says, well, we're not sure we can do that, they stand firm. They stand firm on their salary requirements. If there is some wiggle room for you and you are apt to want to negotiate or could potentially take a little less, depending on what benefits they have or what they could offer you in addition, whether or not it's a signing bonus or whether or not it's extra or additional leave off or other types of perks that people of a certain echelon may get, then you would want to present that, well, I do have a little wiggle room, but not much. Maybe we can work something out if it's a job that you are truly interested in. But the main thing that I just wanted to share was that off the bat, when somebody asks you what your salary requirements are, do not hem and haw. Be firm on your value, because if you do not know what your value is, trust me, other people will put a value on you and it will not be what you would like for it to be. Okay? So know your value so other people don't place a value on you. Again, I see this more frequently with women. Um, stand firm. Stand firm. Do not hem and haw. If you want a certain number, give that number and say, that's what my requirement is. If they look at you like you're crazy, or if they try to negotiate right then and there, whatever, as far as just trying to feel you out, because that's exactly what they're trying to do. And especially people, if you're in the field, if you're in HR, if you have done any negotiating in the past, which most HR professionals in certain organizations have done, then you already know kind of how to negotiate a little bit. And so for someone who only does this when they are looking for a job, or every couple of years when they transition or whatnot, you might not be as apt to know what they're doing when they're inquiring, when they're asking questions, when they're throwing out certain things. So when you are asked what your salary requirements are, provide them. Do not hem and haw. Do not give a reason. If it needs further discussion, you might say, I might have a little wiggle room depending on the full package, but this is my requirement. Okay. And of course, you can verbalize that or, tweak it whatever way you would say that, but that's the point that you want to get across. So, hopefully, this will help someone when they're interviewing, when they're presenting themselves. Again, know your value. That's the most important thing. Be confident in how much you know that you're worth, and do not move. Do not move off of that. So, I hope this helps someone, and happy interviewing and negotiating. Bye.